guys and welcome to my channel. Today I'm gonna talk about the books that I've read this January, so it's gonna be a wrap-up video. So the first book is Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. This book is so amazing. It's the last book in the series. I got sad when I finished it. Honestly, it got me like, alright, I finished the book. What am I gonna do now? What am I gonna do with my life? Alright, it's actually a reread. I've read this first in my mother language and now I decided to read it in English. So it was amazing. I loved every single thing about this book and about the Harry Potter series in general. I mean, I was obsessed with Harry Potter when I was little and now I'm also obsessed with Harry Potter. So yeah, I guess I grew with the books more like with the movies because I didn't read the books when I was little. So I grew with the movies. I cannot say so much about this book, but I'm gonna say what I loved about it. I loved the fact that it was like a surviving mode for Harry, Ron and Hermione, and I don't know, it was just fantastic. I feel it was brilliant. It was such a great book. Destroying the Horcruxes, it was amazing. I mean, it was such an adventure, and the war was so fantastic. I don't have words, okay? I'm overly excited for this book. It was such an amazing ending. I mean, even if the ending was happy, a lot of people died. I cannot say anything because I don't want to give you spoilers, even if I knew some of you probably read this series already. But I don't want to give spoilers, okay? It was sad and happy and all of these things. It was, I don't know, it was magical. Just honestly, I'm sorry I finished the books again and I'm looking forward to watch the movies again the second time this year. So yeah, it was a fantastic read. Alright, so the second book I've read is actually the first book in the series is Pretty Little Liars. I don't know exactly how it's called, the first book, but just a general series, you know. I first read this book when I was 15 years old, I think, and I enjoyed it so much. I was like, this is my favorite book. But now, reading it again, I was like, I don't really enjoy this as much as I used to enjoy it. It's probably because I've rewatched the series, the TV series, 2 times, and it's just, I got too used to the story to care anymore. Does that make sense? Even though I plan to read this series this year, I mean 16 books or something like this. I don't know if I'm gonna make it, but yeah, I'm gonna try. Alright, I'm gonna try. I don't even think I gotta tell you. I don't think I have to summarize this because you already know. Yeah, I mean, it's good, but I just got tired of the story, of the same story, the same A. I mean, you know what I'm talking about if you read the books or watch the movie. A, the same A. It's not the same, but still. Alright, so let's get to the next one. The next book I've read is The Dogs. If you see this cover, you would think it's a horror story, but it's not. I mean, you know, I expected a horror story. I expected to be scared, but I wasn't at all. And that doesn't make the story bad. I mean, it was quite an interesting read. The story is about a boy who runs with his mother because his father is basically a psychopath. And they find this house at a farm or something like this. And there, the boy finds a ghost, a boy ghost. And the ghost is not so creepy. I mean, it's just a regular ghost. if you can call ghosts regular. And this story kept me going because it was a mystery. A young adult mystery for children, honestly. I think it's for kids. I expected nothing from this book because I read on Goodreads a bad review, and if I read a bad review, for me it's like, alright, all my expectations are now low. So I started this book with low expectations and I found myself enjoying it. I mean, just don't start this book with high expectations. Start it with no expectations whatsoever and you might find yourself enjoying just like I did. Alright, so it was a nice read. I don't say I don't like it. I mean, it was interesting. It was mysterious. It had some moments where I was like, alright, I really need to find out what is happening. But I can assure you there were no moments where I was scared or, oh my goodness, my heart is beating so fast. No. it wasn't the case with this. Alright, so next books. Oh my goodness. So I finished the Audrey Rose series. You know this series, seriously, I think you know it. Let's talk first about the third volume. The third, Escaping from Houdini, it was a disappointment for me. Honestly, I thought I'm going to abandon this series just because of this book. But then I realized that I gave my money to this other book and that I want to finish it even if I don't like it. So I pushed through this book. It was hard at first. I gave up on it at a point and I was like, I don't want to have anything to do with this series anymore. But then I started reading this again, and somewhere in here I think it got more interesting. It wasn't amazing. I mean, the first two books I was used to thriller, I was used to super brutal things like murders that are graphic and you know, just the mystery was so intense. But this book, it was just a romance, a cheap love triangle. And I get it, I know a lot of you guys say it's not a love triangle because Audrey is not in love with him. Alright, she is not in love with him, but at some point she feels attracted to this guy. I'm not gonna say who because I don't want to spoil anything, but she was unsure of her feelings for Thomas. Thomas was with her every single step of the way, and she was unsure of her feelings for Thomas just because this guy walks in. This guy? No, this book should have been called Audrey Rose, the Hormonal Girl. Seriously, she was so hormonal in this book, it was terrifying. But then at the end it got interesting and I wanted to read the last one too. So this is the last book in the series which I enjoyed more than the third one. This is the first or the second favorite in the series because, I don't know, I mean, it's not the mystery that got me love this book. It's the story between Thomas and Audrey. I mean, their love story is amazing. I don't know, it's just, it melted me, okay? It melted me. I'm not a fan of romance books at all. I mean, I don't like romance books. I think they're boring, but this one is was amazing, and it was a drama. I mean, you follow the wedding of Audrey and Thomas. I promise, no spoiler. This was necessary to know. But their wedding, something happened. Just the drama was amazing. I loved it, and I don't like romance books, so that was interesting. You know, I really loved it. I mean, I wasn't intrigued by the mystery in this one. Just a tiny little teaspoon of mystery, but not as you read in the first two books. But even so, I loved it. So what I want to say is that if you loved the two books and you loved the characters, you love Thomas, you love Audrey, then read the last two ones. But if you're here only for the murders, you're probably gonna hate the next two books. So that's why I would advise you, if you love the characters and the love story, just follow through. You're gonna like it, honestly. But if not, just... Another book I read is Caroline. Oh my goodness. I always want to say Caroline. I don't know why. Which is funny because the characters in the story were calling her Caroline and she was like, it's Coraline, not Caroline. Oh my goodness. It's just, the name is so similar. How can you? Alright, so this story is a children's story and I found myself pretty intrigued by it. I mean, it was super interesting. The book is about a girl which finds a door in her house, a door that has never been opened before, and then she steps in through that door. And well, guess what she finds? She just finds her family. Her family? But it wasn't her family because these guys, this family, they had buttons instead of eyes, which is weird. And it was a graphic novel, it was illustrated, and it was scary for a child to read that. I think it would be pretty scary because it scared me. I mean, it scared me more than the dog's book. And yeah, I loved this book. So what I learned from this book is that courage is not the absence of fear, but rather overcoming that fear, even if you're afraid. It's amazing, isn't it? for a children's book is amazing. Really amazing. And then the next book is Through the Woods. This book was interesting, but I don't know. I mean, it was terrifying at times, really terrifying. I mean, it was the folkloric vibe. It had a folkloric vibe to it, you know? And the stories, the illustrations were amazing, amazing, amazing. It got me really scared, but I don't think it was what I was looking for. I mean, I'm looking for books to make my heart pound, to make me be like, what's gonna happen next now? Oh my goodness, this is so scary. This book was scary, definitely, but I don't know, it felt a bit off for me. I don't know how to explain, honestly. It's a collection of many stories, and it was interesting. It was quite interesting. I mean, if you like horror stories, you might like it. It's so easy to read. You're gonna finish it in one day, one setting, and it's good. I liked it. Then another book that I've read is The Woman in the Window. This book, my feelings are a bit mixed about this book, because at first it was so boring. I mean, so boring. I cannot explain how bored I was while I was reading this book. It happens so rarely to me to pick up a book and be like, you know what, I don't want to read this anymore. So this was the case with this book, at least at the beginning. The story is about a woman who suffers from a disease. I don't know the name, I don't remember. Basically, if she gets out of the house, she gets a panic attack. So what she's doing is just spying on her neighbors, because that's pretty normal, you know? So yeah, the first part of the book, I told you, it was boring, but then the second part of the book, when the murder happens, it was intriguing. I mean, she sees a murder on a window, and I don't want to say anything, okay? I'm not even going to say if it was a woman or a man who was murdered, because this is a part of the story, okay? It's really interesting, okay? And when the police arrives, they don't believe her. She was taking some pills that actually made her hallucinate things, and she was also drunk, from what I remember. And yeah, nobody believes her, but at the end she was going to prove that she was right. And I was there like, tell them, girl, tell them. And I guessed the killer. Yes, I guessed the killer, because I was like, you are far too innocent to not be the killer. Does that make sense? I mean, all the time I find people who are so innocent in the books who are the killer, and I got used to it. I was like, you are the killer, I'm sure. This person was the killer. I'm proud of myself. Alright, so this book is amazing. If you have to be just a little bit patient with the first part of the book. And the last book I've read is, wait, I forgot. Oh yeah, The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. I really love her writing style, and I expected a lot from this book, and it didn't disappoint me. It didn't. It's just the ending that got me a bit off. I mean, I'm gonna tell you first what it's about, okay? So this story is basically about a babysitter that gets to go to a house that is a bit weird. Like, this house, it's not like any other house. I mean, it's all technological and things like that. Basically, if you want to just close the door, you're just gonna press a button all from your phone. It's amazing. It's amazing, honestly. And it was a bit pretty creepy also, because what would have happened if it was hacked or something? Weird, right? Yeah, so... Alright, so she arrives there, everything is normal. Sorry, I cannot remember her name. I really don't remember. And she gets there, everything is okay, everything is normal. But then at some point, one of the children dies. What's interesting about this book, and I really enjoyed about this book, is that it's written in form of letters from this babysitter in jail, which is so interesting, to a lawyer to convince him that she is innocent. She did not kill that child. She did not kill her. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is so amazing. I love the writing. And the ending was shocking, because I did not expect this to happen. The ending was not for me. I expected something different. But overall, I liked it. I saw some people finding it boring, but I liked it. At first it was a bit boring, but when she got into the house, I really liked it, especially that some of the girls annoyed me. That little girl that was like, oh my god, she was so mean. She basically spilled toothpaste on her. I was like, oh my goodness, my patience would have been gone, honestly. Yeah, so that's the last book I've read. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, just give me a thumbs up and see you next time.